Are you kicking legs with me, Ryan?
Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of August 2nd. I am Ryan, and
I am kicking legs!
The Wolf Warrior 2 himself, Matt Amberg.
I am.
Why'd you take a drink in the middle of that?
Yeah, I thought you were going to keep going. Yeah, I thought I had time. I'm sorry. I'm glad that somebody is calling somebody out on professionalism around here.
But wait,
thankfully, everybody was on time today. Weren't they, Ryan?
It's a war of unprofessionalism.
A wolf war.
2 on Book Club for Movies, where we watch one movie a week, and you can do the same. And then you can contact us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com or come see us on the internet or Facebook and Twitter. There is, in fact, I redid it since the redoing of the site, but there is a contact us page on that website itself. So
I don't like that. Take it out.
Take it off the website?
Yeah.
So this week, we are doing Wolf Warrior 2.
Why are you saying Wolf Warrior? What way?
So what way? Yes.
War Wolf is the literal translation, according to the completely and utterly infallible Wikipedia.
Oh, we're going to use that liberally this time around. Well, okay. Do your synopsis.
You know what? I'm sorry.
I don't want to preempt your synopsis.
I'm sorry that I have even mentioned Wikipedia. This whole episode is now going to be based around the Wikipedia movie.
This is a bit of a Wikipedia movie. I'll give you that much. But
I'll give you that much.
Not in the way that you think.
I would say, first of all, listen to the song Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio before going into this movie. And then immediately after this movie, listen to the song Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio. And then go, that's a really cool song. Thanks, Matt. I'm going to go buy that record right now. That's TV on the Radio.
Yeah, I feel like this is unrelated to the movie. You just want people to listen to TV on the radio.
Well, it's called Wolf Like Me. So, it makes sense. Is this going to fall down again?
I hope so. Don't fix your microphone, please.
I'm trying.
That one time you just tried to lift it and it came off in your hand.
It just went dink.
We should have done the show like that from then on out. Like you were a stand-up, sit-down comedian.
I'm not funny, so it all makes sense. Wolf Warrior 2 coming at you 2 hours and 3 minutes. Written by Jing Wu, Kan Dong, and Yi Lu. Directed by Jing Wu. Starring Jing Wu, Frank Grillo, Selena Jade, Gang Wu, and Hans Zhang. Here is your Book Club for Movie synopsis for Wolf Warrior 2.
Oh yeah, it's the second one. I think I might have left the 2 out of all of my. It's Wolf Warrior 2. Here we go. Like you said.
An elite special wars.
Hold on, let me do a clean one just so I can put it back there. 2. There.
An elite special forces operative must use all his skill to stop mercenaries and rebels from killing the one person who may hold the key to a deadly endemic disease. And then I immediately, the first note I have.
Do you want some history on this first? Or do you want to go straight into the first?
I do, but I'm going to tell you the first note I have because everybody needs to understand where I'm at with this movie. The very first note I have is glass is the most dangerous weapon of all. And it is incredible. The thing that drove me to that particular note, that entire sequence is maybe my favorite in the movie. And I can't wait to talk about it.
I could see where I might put that note myself in the movie, but it's not at the beginning. So now I am.
It's not, but it's the first note I have because the whole beginning of all this, it's fine. It's good. Fight. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're saving people. But then that was the moment where I went, okay, that was the coolest thing in the world.
Okay. So keep that moment, just the words, that moment in mind. And we'll come back to what Matt's probably talking about at a significant point, I think, in our discussion.
Yeah, it's like the end of the movie. I mean, we'll be real about it.
Well,
it's real close.
It is third act. It's absolutely, yeah. Anyway, so there's not much history with this film. Obviously, it's not that old. We are doing kind of a month of action movies, so almost unfairly, I think, we might reference a little bit of what has come before in that way. And certainly, I think when I watched this film, I was kind of thinking along that vein, or, like this is where Hong Kong cinema has gone, or is to some extent at the moment. And
Sure.
other than that, I didn't know much more. The reason I picked up on it is because it was mentioned several times in the Art of Action episodes. Never from an actor that's from the film.
Totally freaking immediately see why. I mean, absolutely.
Well, and I can't remember actually because I was late. I mismanaged my time a little bit this morning, but wasn't able to go back and watch those Art of Action episodes where he did mention it and remember why. I'm pretty sure it was talking with somebody else. You know, it might have been an action director at best, even though I believe still. Oh no, this does have a separate action director. It's not the director himself, which I might as well
Jing Wu
remember his name, Wu Jing, like you said,
or Wu Jing.
But Wu Jing himself did not come out of nowhere, because him being the director, star, all that, I wondered how much
writer, producer.
yes. I wondered how much he just kind of, this was his thing, and given all those roles, it probably still was to a large extent. But there is an elephant in the room with this movie that made me wonder about every aspect, including Wu Jing. And while Wu Jing himself does come from, he was actually discovered by Yen Wuping.
Okay.
For the movie Tai Chi Boxer. So
cool.
Not only not out of nowhere, but also related. We did Drunken Master Yen Wuping. We've talked about him numerous. I've talked about him.
Yeah, Wuping has been. He is known.
Amazing.
He is known.
And I haven't seen Tai Chi Boxer. It is on my list now. I will probably most definitely check it out. But he went on to do TV, other movies. He made his United States movie debut.
Oh, yes. What is it?
As the assassin in the third Mummy movie.
What an absolute downer. It could have been the third of a lot of things that would have been better. But man, I got to say, that movie is a bummer and a half.
So, I mean, the dude seems like a nice guy. Like, we'll get into this in the film as well. Wu Jing just seems like a pretty affable character.
Sure.
Emphasis on the character, possibly.
Well, I mean, this movie is... I'm going to get this one out of the way. This one, well beyond any of the other movies we have seen, is like major hardcore Chinese propaganda. This movie is slamming propaganda. Okay.
That is the elephant in the room that I'm walking towards. And did you get a chance to watch Wolf Warrior 1?
I did not get a chance to watch Wolf Warrior 1, but after the little thing you sent me, I definitely need to. And after watching this, I admit, I'm super curious.
I tweeted that out as well. Yeah, there's some great subtitles for Wolf Warrior 1. But when you watch Wolf Warrior 1, you will be surprised at the subtle undertones of nationalism from Wolf Warrior 2.
Really?
Yeah, Wolf Warrior 1 is propaganda. Like, it is. That's why I was so interested to figure out where Wu Jing came from, because I'm like, oh, was this dude straight up in the army and made a film? Like, was this like the Glenn Miller of China? That was a really weird reference, but did he have like a vested interest in it? Like, his history doesn't appear to be coming from that angle. I don't know much about the man personally, right?
Oh, wow. That is the best thing I have ever heard.
Anywho.
Today.
So,
anyways, qualifiers.
It is extremely pro-military, pro-China, pro.
Yeah.
In fact, it stays within the country. Scott Adkins is the bad guy, and there's a shootout with some drug bosses, and I keep wanting to call him Wolf Warrior, like the name of his character in the film, but it's Lang Feng?
Lang Feng, yes.
Or Lung Feng, I think, when you say it right. Which, by the way, go back and listen to all our name disclaimers for the past however many episodes.
Yeah.
Those are still in effect.
Yeah, always. Once again, all due respect.
All due respect. But Lang Feng kills this drug dude, maybe boss or brother of drug boss that's holding a guy hostage. He kills him by snipering a hole through concrete by just hitting the same spot 3 times in a row till it goes through and kills the guy on the other side. kind of cool, actually.
I mean, it's video game logic. I love it.
Exactly. What he does, he shoots the drug boss. The drug boss wants revenge for him killing his brother. They're on like army exercises, and it turns into something real because the drug boss has hired Scott Adkins and his PMC, I think, to some extent, and they've come in to kill him. So eventually it turns into a real war thing where he's trying to kill Adkins. But yes, the whole thing.
That's kind of fun. So they're doing like a tactical exercise, and then they're like betrayed by the guys, and the PMCs come in to kill them, like playing real guns against fake guns type thing. And then they're like, oh no.
Yes, so he joins the Wolf Warrior squad because this girl recruits him, and he has a crush on the girl. It's a weird thing also. But yes, so it's the Wolf Warrior detachment against his old detachment. And it turns real.
That's fun. Okay, that's a fun story, though. I always like those, actually.
It's interesting. It also allows them to keep it in country. And
now, does Wolf Warrior 1 introduce I assume, the woman who gets shot in the head?
Yes,
quote unquote.
That's the girl that recruits him for Wolf Warrior detachment.
Okay, yeah.
But the Wolf Warrior 1 is a lot like Wolf Warrior 2 in that it's a little goofy.
Yeah, this movie, by the way, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you on these things,
go.
But it's like, this movie is extremely like China, like Chinese action directors, creators, whatever, watched a ton of direct-to-video 80s movies from the US.
Or even just, American movies to some extent.
And they were just like, let's amp this up for now and go.
Which is where the really interesting tension comes for me for at least a second, because I'm like, okay, wow, this is like very nationalist. This is very pro-China. And it feels a little gross thinking about, especially recently, with all the Uyghur stuff. I don't know if you've been in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I am familiar. Yes.
So it feels weird and gross a little bit because of all that's been happening. I can get in my head about that.
Sure.
And it is interesting because I'm like, literally just put the U.S. in the place of China in these movies, and you've seen that movie probably many times before and didn't think it was that weird.
Of course.
To some extent,
I mean, it comes back down to like going as far back as just thinking about cowboys and Indians, right? Like you have that entire dynamic of that concept, So it's
Wolf Warrior 1, like I said, is just a big old Chinese commercial most of the time, and it's still funny. Like it still has, like I said, some of those goofy aspects, some of those weird things. Like Lang Feng is drenched in sweat most of the movie, or just wet for some reason most of the movie, just beads just everywhere.
He's like an alien.
And sometimes it's from one shot to the next, so like he's fine, but then it'll cut to him and he's sniping and just drenched, and I'm like, what?
Why are you so moist?
Yes, what's going on?
You're like a xenomorph. You're just constantly covered in liquid.
And I think somebody said something, because Wolf Warrior 2 way less moist than Wolf Warrior 1.
He's so dry.
Incredibly dry.
Which is funny because in this one, they're supposed to be in like Africa where he should be sweating bullets.
It's true, actually. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't think they understand Wolf Warrior none.
Okay, that's probably enough about Wolf Warrior 1. Wolf Warrior 2 comes along. Also, everything, directed, produced, starred in by Wu Jing. And I think we probably start to hear about it because it does become, and it sounds like, depending on where you look to some extent, but it does become somewhere at some time the highest grossing Chinese film ever released. So I would say that it probably isn't receiving a lot of criticism for how nationalist it is.
Not in China, anyways.
This is the movie that does have that promotional poster that I started to tell you about, which featured a picture of Lang Feng giving the middle finger with the slogan, "Anyone who offends China, no matter how remote, must be exterminated."
Yeah, that is...
So...
It's good stuff.
Still nationalist, I'm going to say.
But just so fun.
But honestly, compared to Wolf Warrior 1, it is backgrounded a little bit. They do remove him from the country, so we get China more as that white savior. They the PLA is able to come in and save the day.
By the way, I do like how we have to how we're so programmed to turn the Chinese savior into the white savior, even though he's the Chinese savior.
Gosh, you're right. That I meant it in the way that it's using that trope, which we invented.
Yes, the white people invented. Yeah. No. It's just kind of funny though, like how that trope is such a trope that even though it's not a white guy, it's always a white guy.
If you're gonna be racist in that way, you gotta just
call it out. Honor
the originators, I guess. Oh boy, I'm getting more uncomfortable. Is it hot in here?
Yeah. Maybe let's get away from all of that.
So in the movie, they're in Africa, like you mentioned. It is after, for a hot second at the beginning of the film, I'm like, whoa, this is going to go even more nationalist than the first one, because he comes back to return the ashes of one of the guys that died in Wolf Warrior 1 to his family. And while he's there's like a popular uprising that they portray as absolute like mob bad guys,
right,
that are trying to kill the family. There's even a construction worker that's trying to raise the house of the fallen soldier and kill their family while they're at. So like, and then the police show up and they're also the bad guys, like pitted against the military. So it's like everything, is against the military. Like the military is the thing. China, to the Chinese state, actors are the things. But then he kills the leader of that populist mob and is basically decommissioned and banished. I don't know if he's banished or whatever.
He kills him by like kicking him in the stomach super hard.
He kicks him very hard.
Which again, like I love that this is a situation where he just whoop, you're dead. Go to jail.
He spits out a little bit of blood, I want to say, or something.
There was some blood. That's how you know he died.
But yeah, so he's the Wikipedia, speaking of how perfect it is, either has inside information or what, but it says he went to Africa planning on wandering for the rest of his life, which is not a line in the movie. So
yeah, I don't remember him.
Yeah, somebody somewhere figured that one out. And he does that for a bit and everybody loves him. He has a little kid that sells pornography on the street because he's a scamp.
It's different cultures.
And he kind of takes care of him and he's just the best dude. There's like American soldiers that walk by and take pictures of him because he's famous. Maybe, or I don't know.
Sure.
And it goes on like that until basically the warring factions within Africa, one of them hires Frank Grillo to... There's an airplane flying. Can you hear the airplane?
I can.
Okay, that's great. Ling Feng's going to jump out.
And we find out that he was, what's his name that stole the money all those years ago? D.B. Cooper. Ling Feng was D.B. Cooper.
Is that your Glenn Miller reference?
That's yeah.
So
Glenn Miller and D.B. Cooper on the Wolf Warrior 2.
Frank Grillo is kind of the bad guy for a lot of this, and he has two lackeys. One of them is Heidi Moneymaker, which if I was going to watch an Art of Action episode, it would have been hers, I think is the most recent one, in fact. Very excited for it, but did not get that opportunity. I'm assuming they do talk about Wolf Warrior for a bit, because I want to say even stunt side, like IMDb doesn't list a whole lot of credits for her. Anyway, so Frank Grillo essentially kills the dude that hires him and becomes the main baddie.
Yeah.
But for most of the movie, basically, it's kind of like, yes, China is the best in the world and unreproachable, but meanwhile, one of the best in the world is in Africa, also being the best separately, but still don't forget China.
China number one.
Number one. So it does kind of feel like a side story maybe in that way, which is why I say maybe it's a little less nationalist than the first one.
It's still pretty blatant. But I mean, regardless, I mean, whatever. It's what would I be expecting out of a Chinese action movie? It's like, I mean, yeah, maybe it's not going to be as overt in other countries because they're not quite as overt. But I don't know. It's a Chinese movie.
And I say that's the interesting conversation that goes on in my head, because I'm thinking back to all of the American movies that I have seen in this way and trying to just like one-to-one comparison, like, were they this overt? Like, was it this crazy? And I think the only thing I could maybe land on is that yes, but I don't remember any of it happening in such an over-the-top Hollywood movie, which I'm probably still wrong. I probably just don't patronize those ones as much, you know?
I mean, Top Gun.
But even then, that's a very serious... And I wouldn't say like...
Huge grossing, super nationalist, pro-military propaganda film about us against brown people.
It's been a very long time since I've seen Top Gun, and I remember not enjoying it very much. So
yes, I know that...
I'll give you that one.
Look, and on top of that, what else is more American propaganda than dudes playing volleyball?
There is a total... Top Gun dudes playing volleyball moment in Wolf Warrior 2.
What am I saying here, Ryan?
Okay. All right. Okay. You've made your point. But then the other thing I think about is all of the Hong Kong movies we've seen, even just in this past month that we've done shows on, and wouldn't call one of those nationalist in any way.
Right.
But still think of them as when Hong Kong cinema ruled the world. You know,
sure. It's just but it's a different mindset between what the stories being told were, right? I mean, like this to me is a story that overall tells me Wu Jing is probably very much so a Chinese nationalist, which is not unheard of in Hollywood or like in film. I mean, Jackie Chan has repeatedly said it. Nobody likes talking about this. He's a Chinese nationalist.
Yeah.
Flat out, like he is.
I discovered that last week actually in looking stuff up for I think Rush Hour before we talked about it.
It's incredibly disappointing to find out because we're inundated with a particular version of Jackie Chan, but that's not who he is. And it's another one of those moments of never forget that the people you see on TV or in film or anything, no matter how affable they may seem, you know, they may be nationalists. So that's what the movie screams to me. Whereas some of those older movies, like the Yun Wu Ping stuff, I don't know. Most of his movies don't come off as uber nationalist to me. They come off as telling human stories in a fantastic way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think the difference here is that this is an action movie to be an action movie because it's fun. Maybe he likes doing it, what have you. And it's easy to get. It's probably way easy for him to get this made. This is like, hey, I need money for this. Great. China movie? Yes. Here. You want to make a big budget action China forward movie? We're in.
Which is something they have in common with the States. Like
sure.
It is known that the Army will give a lot of leeway or even resources or whatever it is to movies that are going to portray the military in a positive light.
Absolutely.
You hear that all over the place.
All the time. And I just like the difference between those types of like where Hong Kong cinema appears to be from my perspective versus the Hong Kong cinema that I grew up with, which again, keeping in mind is also probably not like, I'm probably not seeing a ton of the mainstream Chinese movies, right? So this has probably been going on forever, but I just don't think that it's in a lot of ways to me, it's an apples to oranges thing. It's an evolution of choices. And even in your most nationalist societies, you're probably still going to have films that don't necessarily have the underlying tone of it or any of that, you know, depending on how tight the media is held. But we've certainly seen plenty of movies come out of China that are not anything other than just it's the sitcom, it's the comedy, it's the silly thing but it's Chinese, you know, it's that's it. So,
and I think that's where I came down also too in the end. I think I was kind of round peg square hole, or however, no, the round peg would fit in the square hole unless it's a little too big, round peg square hole.
Have you seen that TikTok of the girl watching the video of the guy, and he's got one of those things at the pegboards, and he goes, the square peg or the square goes in the square hole, and the girl's like, yeah, that's it. And he goes, and the round one goes in and she's like, round hole. And he goes, that's right, the square hole. And the triangle one. And he puts all of them in the square hole, and she just gets more and more distressed as it goes on. And if you haven't seen this, I will find it and send it to you because...
Sure, send it. No, in fact, I like this segment where we describe a TikTok. during the show.
Yes. TikTok break.
But yes, I think I was doing that to a large extent, or trying to at the very least, certainly for the sake of the show, to kind of get an A to B, you know, how we came here. And I think when it comes to speaking about the actual action in Wolf Warrior 2, which we should probably do at some point.
It's probably the point.
I'm going to draw an A to B because it is action direction. It is martial arts.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Which is, the reality is that's what we're watching it for. And I mean, I have no problem saying that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We're certainly not watching it to cheer on China or something.
I'm watching it for the athletics. I'm watching it for the invention, the inventiveness of the choreography and seeing people do crazy, cool, fun stunts, you know?
So maybe we just did a 30-minute disclaimer and welcome to the show now about Wolf Warrior 2.
Great. Okay, here, let me Wolf Warrior 2 coming at you 2 hours. So let me start with this, okay?
Okay.
While I think I kind of preface this already, where I think most of the set pieces, the action stuff, all works. A lot of it's really fun. There's some really inventive stuff in there. There is that one sequence that is easily my favorite sequence in the movie that I'm going to detail for you because it is so delightful.
Do it. It's all about action from here on out.
But I want to caveat this with, I did not love the cinematography here. I didn't like the editing choices in a number of the fights. They were borderline, not the shaky cam Bourne stuff, but they were borderline indecipherable in places for me, where I could not figure out what was being done because the cuts were so fast and so and they didn't just cut, it moved all over the place, and there was some the fluidity of the editing for me was not there. It felt choppy in quite a few places, and that is unintentional as a pun, but I'm going to take it.
I didn't get it till you called it out.
So I want to call that out. There is some really great stuff in here that is clear and that is well done, and you can see it all the way through. But there is a lot of editing, and the fight with Frank Grillo at the end had so much possibility to it, and I was honestly kind of let down by it because it was hard to follow. It wasn't a good fight. It was a lot of close quarter stuff with a camera that keeps moving and not letting the action happen. And I hated it, honestly, in a lot of those moments.
I totally agree. In fact, it's a note that I had as early as Wolf Warrior 1, and I think is a fair comparison because we have been talking about these action sequences that are filmed quote unquote Hong Kong style, where the camera is back because you want to see the acrobats do their thing.
Yeah.
You know, why would you cut that out? Well, in a fight with Frank Grillo, you might, because he's not a martial artist, you know. But they do the same thing in the Scott Adkins fight in the first movie. So I don't know if it's because they're trying to make it look like what the United States has become in terms of fight sequences like that. Could very well be. But also, very little of the choreography goes beyond, I want to say, 5 to 6 moves a shot.
Right. It seems so short too, in that respect.
It's frenetic for sure. It's definitely picking up on that, you know, lots and lots of cuts, like you said.
Yeah.
But also, when the choreography is 4 moves, I'm not saying I could do it, certainly not, but it's certainly less impressive than setting the camera at a distance and watching somebody go through next to, 20, 30 moves instead, right? So there is that. I think that's what you're seeing. I think what you're also seeing is some lack of direction. I feel like I hesitate to call this out because it is such an easy film rule to call out and violate. In fact, let's gauge it. Have you heard of the 180 degree film rule?
Is this where one side to side? It's a side to side thing, but I don't know.
So if you picture a circle, which is 360 degrees, chop it in half, which is 180 degrees.
Got it so far.
Put the camera in the center. No, I've just scooted up. Put the camera on the perimeter.
Right.
I just don't know my geometry. Thank you. Put the camera on the outside. If the camera is on one end of that split circle, the people in the center of the camera will appear to be on either side, right?
Sure.
So if your camera is pointing at a subject in the center and there's two people, one is on the left, one is on the right, move that camera
right
100 or past the 180 degree mark, and that will be switched. If you
Correct.
violate that, then people can get confused.
Oh, right. Because of dialogue and where people are coming from and direction, location of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, of
and I
course.
think that's
Yeah.
part of it. It does violate that numerous times. Both movies do. And yeah, I have no idea a lot of the times who is where, why, doing what. It's a Transformers movie to some extent at that point, right?
That is a terrific comparison in terms of spatial awareness for the
Yes.
film. Yeah.
I think that's what you're seeing. Part of what you're seeing. It's not as bad as a Transformers movie. I'm sorry. for
Well, I
offending.
mean, come on.
I know. So you can still enjoy it
Yeah,
to some
no,
extent, let's say.
There is no question.
But you're right. It's confusing. I don't like some of the choices they made. In fact, I will add to that. And after that, I'm going to tell you the good. So
yeah, I know.
the last bad I have is that I think some of the choices they made with straight up, I don't know if it's, I guess it would be considered stunts at this point. Again, it gets confusing because IMDb oftentimes doesn't know the difference between stunt director, stunt player, action director, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is no difference in Hong Kong. Certainly with the other movies we talked about. But here, they like where they decide to use the wires, where they decide to have some of the falls or breakaways or stuff like that. You know, I'm glad, and this will be one of the goods that we can get deeper into. I'm glad they did tend towards the practical. It seems like a lot. You know, you do have people crashing through stuff, taking falls, doing stunts.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's in places where I'm like, well, why was that? Like in Wolf Warrior 1, there's a spot even in the final fight with Wu Jing and Scott Adkins where I'm like, why? Like you can tell they're on wires. And I'm like, why was he on wires for that? And it was real quick and he wasn't after. So I'm just like, it seemed like a weird choice. And I think throughout there were some weird choices when it came to some of that.
I agree. And I'll take that even a step further and say that my final probably negative thing that I'll give you is because there was so much good with a lot of that stuff, a lot of the stunt work and the breakaway stuff, the effect work overall, it just stands out as how under budget, how that budget is not
like when they do use computer generated stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, it looks like the movie came out in 2017, so give it 2016, 2015, even maybe if you have to for the quality in terms of look. But you got to go further back than that for what it looks like. Like this would not have looked great in 2015. This would have looked great in 2010. This should have looked better for what they were doing. Like there are some moments where it almost looks like you're going, did they do that in Fireworks? Like, is that Adobe right there? Did they just like that looks like that general like explosion that comes with it, the one that they like your default.
But I think the reason you see that is because for the most part it does tend towards the practical. They are doing actual explosions and stunts, and so you notice when it's not.
That's what I'm saying is that the contrast is so stark, and it's like so this might be a case too where Wu Jing being the writer and the director, maybe he doesn't have that level of skill yet to figure out, to know where to blend, to know where to go, okay, let's blend here to make this part CGI and then we'll keep this part practical. So
Which is the real trick, right? Yeah,
and that's hard. But then going back to like the editing stuff, I like to assume if he's writing it, producing it, directing it, he's probably involved in the editing, even if his name isn't on the thing as edited by. I'm guessing he's in the editing bay.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of this stuff kind of says to me that he's being given a lot of leeway, and maybe he's just not a really talented director. Maybe that's not his thing. Or maybe he just doesn't have the skills yet. He's still building them up. And, 5-10 years from now, we're going to get the Wu Jing epic that makes Seven Samurai look like 5 guys. I don't know.
Makes it look like 5 samurai.
5 samurai. Two of them are gone.
Yeah, I don't know, but now you have me thinking that he is learning all of the lessons from movies like Transformers and whatnot, you know.
And that was kind of the other thing that I was going to mention there, was that watching this and seeing some of that stuff, some of the action stuff, I compared it to Bourne for a specific reason, because to me, that's how a lot of it felt, where the Paul Greengrass Bourne stuff, like that especially is a sequel. I think it's the second one that has that one.
It gets progressively shakier,
but there's one scene that just always stood out for me, and it's in the house where he's meeting the dude, and I could swear it's the second movie.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh
yeah," and then they fight each other. But it's like Wu Jing went to the Paul Greengrass School of Action and went, I can do this.
I don't even know if I almost feel like that's giving him too much credit. I mean, it's certainly like, if you had to make Bourne kind of the not high watermark, but the watershed moment where shaky cam became a thing, and what it's become since, I think I would see Wu Jing as more of a influence of an influence, maybe type thing.
Sure.
Cutting hairs, I know.
But okay, we have been plenty negative here. There is still some really good stuff in here. I've teased everybody long enough. I'm just going to talk about this sequence at the end. The glass moment. It's the best moment. Towards the end of the film, there is Wu Jing's character is trying to help a doctor come up with a cure for a disease, and Frank Grillo is hired to stop the cure from happening, or steal the cure. It doesn't really matter.
The plot points are so slight. It's kind of strange because yes, there is a disease, but you kind of forget about it real quick. In fact, I want to say it all starts because somebody comes on camera and is like, "Who's Dr. Chen?" or "Where's Dr. Chen?" And I'm like, "Who's Dr. Chen?" Yeah. And then it's that's how the little almost B plot begins, and then you're like, "Yeah, oh,
totally."
And I'd want to mention this also because when we mentioned we were doing the show, Jonathan Blade sent in a little snippet that he did when he watched Wolf Warrior 2. It's a video out there. You can check it out. Wolf Warrior 2, Captain Rogers by Way of the People's Republic, which when I first watched that, I was like, yeah, this. Okay, when I first read that, I was like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. This is obviously, the Chinese Captain America, which doesn't work when you say it out loud. But I thought was more of a kind of general comparison until, yes, he is infected with this virus. And does he get superpowers from?
Impossible to tell.
Okay, you're right. Well, no, okay.
Because he gets inoculated at the end. He gets the COVID shot.
Does he get it before? Because she does something to his blood in the cave when she rescues him.
Oh, yeah. Who knows?
I think this movie was built up too much to me. I was expecting kind of a non-stop, which I swear I've read that word in comparison with this thing.
This movie definitely stops.
It stops a lot. It's not non-stop action. Like,
it's stop action. Stop.
I was expecting it to be nonstop, and also I was expecting the glass moment you mentioned, which you'll describe at some point very soon. But also I was expecting the bed spring moment where an RPG, like somebody shoots an RPG at him and he captures the still flying RPG with a bed spring and throws the bed spring aside and explodes over there. I was expecting a lot more of that, essentially. I was expecting nonstop of that, basically. Yes. And that it was not what this movie was until maybe this third act when, yes, he's infected and she cures him, but with his own blood. Like, didn't he have something in his blood because he was one of a kind? No.
That's right.
The
little
cure
girl
was in the kid. The girl. You're right. Okay.
Right. That's why they wanted to capture the girl or kill the doctor or both. I don't know. But all of this nonsense leads up to this epic sequence where we're kind of leading into the final battle where Lang Feng has got to go and he's got to save the doctor. He's got to save all of the good rebels that are there while fighting Frank Grillo's mercenaries and then all of the African commandos that are fighting with him. So he comes cruising in with this crossbow that is great
He
because
made himself out of sticks and
he
stuff.
totally hand makes. This is not like a good crossbow. This is like, okay, I'm out in the woods. I'm going to make this. And he's got like 30 or something bolts, right? This dude is not taking it. There are no second shots here, baby. We're a single shot. It's one shot, one kill every time.
He's got cactus poison, which actually isn't that fast acting.
I know,
really.
And I love this. Okay, so he poisons all of the tips with cactus. This cactus is a poison. And I love this because there is one guy he shoots in the neck. And the guy acts like he got bit by a bug. He pulls the bolt out of his neck like angrily. Like he's like, who the hell shot me?
Yep.
Throws it down, pulls his gun up, and then starts foaming at the mouth and just dies. So
but even the second guy that he hits already has his gun up, finger on the trigger.
Right.
And
he just goes, and falls over.
Still doesn't get one off. Yeah, no, he's got...
So he goes.
But I think this is also where the movie becomes more of what I was expecting, and it becomes more enjoyable to me.
100%.
The third act is, the best.
He does all these great maneuvers, breaking people's necks, jumping around stuff, and then we get to the moment where I watched this. I rewound this probably 5 times because I could not stop laughing. Amazing. So he's outside running across pipes that are connecting buildings. He just seems to, as far as we can tell, arbitrarily fire a crossbow bolt through a glass window. This bolt goes through the window across like the entire floor of what appears to be a gigantic warehouse, down a hallway, killing a guy.
You're making it sound like freaking Yondu's spear.
It honestly felt like this was 1 second away from being a Police Squad reference, like it's the Naked Gun. He dives through the window, does a tucked roll, comes up, reaches out, grabs a piece of glass from the window as it's breaking, slices a guy's throat as his arm is coming back, flings the piece of glass down onto another unsuspecting victim who's now been brutalized by a chunk of glass from a broken window that he has pulled out of midair after gouging somebody else's throat hole. And it was amazing. That whole sequence. And then my favorite part is that there's this weird American couple, and this one lady who's a little bit, she's a bigger lady, and she gets super pissed off and she goes, I'm not taking any more of this. And she runs over to a guy who's already been beaten up and just does like an elbow drop on him.
That's the kid's mom, the porno kid's mom.
Yeah. It's so funny. She's just like, I'm not having any more of this. And just boom, elbow drops.
And while she does that, he leaps off that top level and grabs onto a chain and kind of swings down. I think he does a few more things on the way down also. Yeah, that's best sequence of the film for sure. But also it's finally what I was kind of waiting for for most of it. And it keeps in line with Wolf Warrior 1 in that it's still a little goofy.
Yeah.
Somehow, like the dude doesn't move smoothly.
No.
Like, and he has like cool looks, but also he has some Jackie Chan moments where he's like, like on purpose.
Are we sure? Like I'm honestly, the more we talk about it, I don't know if that is meant to have any amount of humor in it.
It's possible. I enjoy it.
It's great. It works. It makes it much more enjoyable for sure.
Maybe it's just because I don't know if we're, it's cultural differences, like you said, or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, again, this does feel like an imitation of an imitation of an imitation almost type, Which
I'm gonna say for me, that's all I honestly have to say about it. I'm like what else do you have? What else do you have on it? Do you have more that you want to add?
I like that this keeps the tradition of importing foreign talent, which we talked about it a little bit, maybe with Righting Wrongs with Cynthia Rothrock.
Yeah.
But that kept going. Jackie Chan did it all the time. Also, I'm reminded of I think it's Benny Urquidez fight in Wheels on Meals, which I haven't seen yet, but I've seen the fight, and The Art of Action with Benny Urquidez. But even up until Hitman, there was a Mike Tyson and the most recent one was a freaking Bautista
Oh, that's right. Batista. I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's something that Hong Kong has always done to some extent. And I feel like they haven't forgot that here. We do have the big Russian dude, which I don't know, but I bet he's known from somewhere else. You know, like I bet he has some credits behind
I'm sure.
him.
Yeah.
Heidi Moneymaker, like I mentioned.
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo, obviously.
Of course.
So
yeah.
I do like that. And I do like that third act, really. That's where even though all of my notes, I want to say, from the third act start out with LOL. LOL, tank runs over a blood bag. LOL, super tank. Which, that was the part where he like drifts in a tank to like sideswipe the bad one out of the way. I'm like, whoa.
Okay, so now they're doing Fast and Furious over here.
They totally are. LOL, Amazing Grace, the lady that did the elbow drop begins to sing Amazing Grace, and it goes into a big, in fact, it goes into a big operatic thing during the final fight with Frank Grillo.
There's like a swell of music. It's
he hits Frank Grillo in the forehead with a gun. Like just throws one at him and he's like, ooh. I don't know. I feel like it's been done before, but it got me. But then at the very end where he's wearing a bullet around his neck for the entire movie because they fridged the girl from the first movie. And I thought she was just taken captive, but then towards the end, I'm like, oh, maybe she was killed with that bullet, and that's what we're going for. But I don't know. At the very least, it's a clue to where she went, so he carries it around his neck.
Did you watch the mid-credit sequence?
I haven't even mentioned that. Yes, every Wolf Warrior film begins with a trailer for the next Wolf Warrior film, by the way. But he's shot with a bullet by Frank Grillo and, of course, just pulls it out of his vest, and it looks like the bullet he's wearing around his neck. So we know that Frank Grillo is the dude at that point. But while his girl... Oh, we haven't even mentioned freaking... I feel bad now because we're an entire show without mentioning her. The Selena Jade? Is that right?
Jade, yeah.
Did you know her? She's Shadow in Arrow, I guess.
Oh, is that who she is? That's kind of funny.
Yeah. I looked her up because I was totally into her performance. Like she speaks perfect Chinese. Again, I don't know if it's Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever. And that's not even the two only dialects there. But
yeah, she was good in Arrow. That's funny. She was actually she was in the good parts of Arrow.
She's good in this. I really like her. That's why I'm upset we never mentioned her.
She was good in this. Yeah, no, that's true.
Honestly, she acts circles around everybody else, including Grillo, which I really like, but I think that's more of a fault of him not given really anything to do. He has very few lines actually in this film.
She's also in that movie Triple Threat.
Oh, a movie I almost wish I would have chosen instead of this one. With after
Tony Jaa, Tiger Hu Chen, Iko Uwais, Scott Adkins.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was on the list a long time ago. Yeah.
That was, yeah, I remember this one.
Yeah.
Michael J. White, Michael Bisping, right? Yeah, we gotta watch that one. That's cool.
So, but yeah, she does a great job. Sorry, our apologies to Selena Jade, who is good.
Yeah, Selena Jade was good. We liked her.
But her and all of the other, like the mom and the other group of refugees that he's rescuing are watching him fight Frank Grillo to the death. And eventually Frank Grillo ticks him off enough that he takes the bullet from around his neck and stabs it into the side of his neck and then goes ham.
All while like families are watching him too.
Yeah. And they cut that back into, he's like, ooh, like going nuts. And another thing we've seen in American movies, but at the last minute, they don't go in for the kill.
It is absolutely the Police Squad version where they like you keep seeing him or the Scary Movie version where he's going, and then they flash to the families looking and they're like, ew, and they go back to him and he's going, and then they go back.
They totally do that here. I don't know if I read into it. That was the moment I rewound and watched multiple times.
It was hilarious. Again, hilarious. But it was they only had one more step to go before they were the camera flashed back to them, and then there was a whole bunch of blood splashing on them, and then goes back.
More realistically, I almost expected him to be like, no, don't. Don't give in or whatever. No, never happens. He finishes him off.
Yep.
Roll credits. Anyway, actually, no.
Not roll credits.
That is not where the credits roll. The credits roll after they drive through war-torn Africa waving the Chinese flag, and that's what gets everybody to stop firing bullets. So
yeah, because everybody's
the cherry on top.
Kill those 4 guys.
It's
never gonna let you down. It's never gonna give you up.
it's a Rickroll of a movie.
It is.
All right. 90 stars.
Out of 130.
Thank you. So,
well, because we missed a week, I took a week from you, and I think we started a week late. You get at least one more action movie. To start.
Oh, really?
No, you get one more action movie to start August. I'm not gonna. No, you don't.
Shoot.
No, we're not doing this game of you. You know, you always. We've done wieners in November.
That's true. We did keep the wieners going for quite a long time, as they say.
Yeah, we'll do July Kwando right into.
Do we officially? I don't know if we landed on July Kwando, but it's the best we got.
It's what I'm calling it because it works for me.
Fine. We can both have a different.
But if you want to change it, I'm good with it.
I wouldn't dream of it. I don't know what movie to pick now. I didn't have one ready.
No.
You just mentioned Triple Threat, so that's all I can think of.
Well, we could always watch The Night Comes for Us. What is it?
Do a whole... So,
that weird horror movie thing?
Almost the whole reason you wanted to do this month. Have you watched those movies yet?
I haven't, no.
Or not those movies, sorry. Have you watched The Night Comes for Us yet?
I haven't. No, I've been waiting for us to do it so I could be fresh with it.
I would not do a show on it.
Okay. That sucks, but fair enough. I get it.
I watched his other one too, Headshot, the one that came before.
Yeah.
I like it better, and I probably still wouldn't do a show on it.
Fair enough.
But I'm up for a discussion. Definitely watch him. I mean, you will.
I'll watch it.
Like, it will deliver on the attractive premise that
I just want to see people
you fell in love with.
Yeah, I like gory things.
Yes,
whatever.
It's very gory.
I like it.
So we can still talk about it. But yeah, no, maybe I don't want to necessarily go back in time, and I am excited about Triple Threat.
Yeah, let's check it out. It's got that cast is nuts.
And you said it out loud during a show, so
which basically means we have to do it. No, I'm into it.
There's a obligation at this point. So
yeah, dude, let's watch.
Tell you what, we reserve our right to change at the last minute, and at which point I'll probably delete this part anyways. So
what?
If we don't do that, come back next week for Triple Threat.
Are you sure you don't want to watch Avengement with Scott Adkins?
I have not heard. Oh, now you're just going through the Scott Adkins IMDb'ers?
I'm going through the similar to Avengement came out in 2019.
Similar to Triple Threat or similar to Wolf Warrior?
No, the movie is called Avengement. I don't. That's not even a word.
Not all of Scott Adkins' movies have made it onto my action movie list. Let's
say.
Okay,
but this one might be one. Let's take a look. Hold on for a second. This is okay. This one directed.
You're right. I'm not even looking at my. Speaking of which, action movie list where we could tell you what. Yeah, we'll both look at that. We'll get one. We'll do it next week. It might be Triple Threat. It might not be.
It's gonna be Triple Threat. Come on.
Gosh dang it. In any event, come back. It might also be The Night Comes for Us or Headshot or Police Squad. Podcast at bookclubformovies.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Again, we're redoing the site a little bit. Go check it out. See what you think. And let us know just anything, your thoughts about it all. Matt, do you have any rest of the show you want to do this week? Anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, boy. Do I?
Now you're going through another list.
I watched. I've got a decent list for TVVB, but we've been watching kind of the same stuff lately. You know, the martial arts stuff. So, but we did finally watched the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh,
with Ryan Reynolds.
The first one?
Yeah.
Or the
first one.
So you could watch the sequel?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. It was just more of I'm kind of curious. I mean, I might as well watch both of them if I'm going to watch the first one first.
Right. I've heard better things about the first one so far.
Yeah, it's all right. There's nothing.
Oh boy.
No, this is Sam Jackson coasting about as best as he can. This is Ryan Reynolds doing, I mean, R.I.P.D. It's like R.I.P.D. It's like,
I like Ryan Reynolds coasting maybe better than I like Sam Jackson coasting. Actually, that's not.
I don't know.
It's not a universal statement.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can even do that.
I like their chemistry is fine. It's again, if if you like the chemistry and saw R.I.P.D. between, even if you don't like the movie, but you like the chemistry between Reynolds and Bridges, this is another movie that just instills, you can make a very good, fun, silly movie with Ryan Reynolds, and he can work with just about anybody. I do truly believe he's one of those actors that you could kind of slot into a lot of different things, and he works, and he like, his chemistry seems to just be natural with people. But this is a movie that is like, it literally is Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson being Sam Jackson. Like, Ryan Reynolds, every line out of his mouth is sarcastic, smarmy, you know, everything out of Sam Jackson's mouth is followed by some form of the F word, which I love. Salma Hayek is really fun. You know, she's Salma Hayek is at that point in her career now where she is like, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want because people love me and I like doing it, and I'm going to. And it's like, and honestly, I feel like she's probably been that way for a long time. And I feel like I finally recognized that when she did 30 Rock. Like, to me, that was her moment where she went, I'm doing whatever I want now. I'm going to have fun. And she is.
Agreed.
But the movie itself, it's not special in any way. I completely see why this got a sequel. Like, it makes perfect. This is such an easy, small stakes. You're only spending money on a couple of actors because, you know, your bad guys are just going to mostly be faceless. And I don't even remember who the like, this actually does have a couple of like big names in it, but it's nothing.
So Salma Hayek is in the first one?
She is, and I had no idea. I thought she was the draw of the second movie. That's what I totally thought, that it was going to be those two, and then Salma Hayek was going to be okay, we're going to throw her. No, she shows up like within the first. She's basically the entire plot of the movie for Sam Jackson. She and him are married. She's in jail. He's being guarded. Like, he was supposed to testify against somebody, but then of course everybody who testifies against this person and, you know, gets killed, and now it becomes you're gonna die, or your wife is gonna die, or everybody's gonna die, and so everybody's gonna help everybody.
What are the chances that it turns out you watched The Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard, and didn't know it instead? Like, is there, what percentage wise,
0? How
surprised would you be if that's what happens?
0, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, they meet at the beginning, so it's like I said,
okay.
It's fun if you like the actors. It's fine. Oh, Gary Oldman, that's who it was. Yeah, it's Gary Oldman is the bad guy, and he's
shoot. Interest just doubled,
and that's funny. Yeah, actually, you know what's funny is
it's up to 2%.
He's not in the movie much, but Richard E. Grant is in the movie.
Huh.
Always love him. Also, you need to look at the movie Ninja Assassin.
Oh, I have it. That is on the list.
It's dumb.
Wait, did you watch it?
I've seen it before.
Oh, okay.
But I just remembered about it, and I started looking at it.
Tiger Chen?
It's not. Something? It's Rain is the main guy. Rick Uni.
Yeah, it's a John Wick Studio. That's not what it's called, and I keep forgetting. But it is those guys. It's Stahelski. I want to say it came together on the set of Man of Tai Chi, or
Matthew Sand wrote it.
It's mentioned in some Art of Action stuff. Okay.
Matthew Sand, actually, funny. Matthew Sand and J. Michael Straczynski. It was actually the only movie Matthew Sand has written.
Yeah, I'll figure it out, I'm sure, at some point.
But it's got frickin' Han in it.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about Fast 9? We've both seen it at this point.
I have not seen it yet.
What? Oh, I thought
I've been listening to the podcast. That's the How Did This Get Made podcast about it, because
gotcha.
I don't care about the spoilers in any of these movies, not the ones on the car, nor the ones that occur in the film itself.
But wait, so you have watched some other Fast and Furious movies, though, right?
I have. I am going. Right. I am on to this week. I'll be pushing through Fast 5, and I'm hoping I like that more than Fast and Furious. Because, man, I did not like that movie.
Are we gonna do a Fast and Furious show? I forget if that
I
turned into.
Did like the ending of that movie, actually. I do think the ending is really cool. And I actually really like the intro too. That the beginning, the first car scene, with the truck that's gonna go off the edge of it's in the mountains and stuff.
Sounds familiar.
Pretty cool. The final where they're gonna break Dom out of the prison transport going long.
Also sounds familiar. Well, maybe you can do a fan edit. It's just the beginning and the end.
That's it. Fast Furious. And right in the middle, family.
Yeah, my favorite part is when you text me about some part of the movie and you're like, try to use the title, and I'm like, I don't know what they stopped using numbers. They used too many at first, so like Too Fast, Too Furious, and after that they're like, would have no numbers ever, and I'm like, I don't know which is which or who's going what.
Back it up.
So are we gonna do a Fast and Furious show? I forget if we ever landed on that.
I think we should do one on Fast 9 in a few weeks. After we kind of get through some other stuff, because I legit want to get through the rest of them, and I'm going to get through them whether or not.
Yeah, I have notes. They're pretty old. They're like my X-Men movie notes at this point, where I'm like,
I should basically be finishing. Like, I should be able to do 2 a week for a couple of weeks. I can watch them during the weekend when Beth's gone.
Whatever. Yeah, we've got plenty in the hopper here. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe. I'm sorry. Was there anything else? Any other movies you want to mention?
No. I'm good.
I'm glad I read that correctly. I had one other movie that I thought might be almost related to the Warrior movies, in that it also features the name War, preceded by the word tomorrow.
Oh, did you watch that?
I watched the Tomorrow War, yeah.
And on a scale of mediocre to really mediocre,
I expected it to be bland.
Mm-hmm.
I think in fact, you sent me the trailer of all things, and I'm like, I don't know where a lot of times I don't know where this is going. And I'm like, this seems uninteresting. This seems bland. This seems.
Yes.
And I don't think I was disappointed, but I think maybe it did land just this side of watchable, if that's an endorsement.
It wasn't bland. It landed unblanded.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Let's put it this way. It's less nationalist than Wolf Warrior, like a little bit less, but still has this kind of weird common man vibe about it. And Chris Pratt's in it. And
right, which
I enjoy him. You less so.
I do not enjoy him. Yes.
Yes. It's bland. It is bland. Like, I would never say in a million years that, that wasn't bland. It was bland. It's generic. But again, kind of just this side of when I sat down with my wife and kid to watch it, we didn't hate it,
Okay. But on a scale of 0 to Daredevil, where does this sit?
Yeah. I didn't ask her. That's true. I need to ask my daughter if.
Might be time to rewatch Daredevil.
Certainly Daredevil's better than the Tomorrow War in the eyes of my daughter. Minimum, right?
I would imagine. I hope so.
It does criminally underutilize, and I won't tell you why. I need to get all 3 of her names correct before I say
Phoebe Waller-Bridges.
No, Mary Lynn. In fact, it's not all of her names.
Mary Lynn Rakeskub.
I was going to say, it is her last name that I actually need to get right.
Mary Lynn Rakeskub. I can't remember
I believe it's spelled Rajskub.
Yeah, but and I hear it all the time, which is funny because she's on. They talk about her frequently on various Earwolf
She's on
shows.
a few Comedy Bang Bangs. She's delightful. She's great.
Yeah. So just on a side note, slightly,
sure.
Like she is the one who got Scott into comedy.
Oh, that's right.
She is the one who brought him, forced him to get on stage and do sketches and
they talk
stuff.
about that. I want to feel like even in the very last show.
Yep.
But
yep.
But yeah,
Mary Lynn.
Unfortunately,
Rakeskub.
not in
Mary
this movie.
Lynn Rakeskub. That's how you say.
Okay, not in this movie enough.
She's never in anything enough.
It also has a weird arc. It is exactly what the trailer says, and that they're going into the future to fight a war, and the time travel stuff isn't necessarily explained. It's more like they let you assume what you always assume.
It works.
And towards the end, that gets a little weird because the movie shifts to modern day and them kind of trying to prevent the invasion. So they're not, it's not really a war movie even at that point. So it does some really strange things that I don't think it completely lands, and all of it is bland. So.
All right. No,
I don't know. I don't know what made it this side of watchable, but you can watch it.
Sounds good.
That's all I have for this week.
Great.
So come back next week for very possibly Triple Threat, very possibly whatever else. Insert movie. I'll just put my clean 2.
I like that. That's
right
insert movie
2. And email us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com or Facebook and Twitter. And you too can have us mention you on air. Be famous. Join the club.
Bye. Now it's time for the Book Club for Movies trailer section. We call this the trailer section because I'm springing it on Ryan at the end of the show because I want to know if he watched the trailer for that Venom film, Let There Be Carnage.
I like how this has become a thing. It's always the Venom trailer too. Unfortunately, no, this time I did not. So I can't even jokingly spend too much time on it.
I'm gonna spoil it. They show you how he becomes Carnage.
Oh, come on.
They straight up outright show Shriek is in this. And I don't remember her show being in the first one, but in the first trailer. She's in this trailer.
I don't even know who Shriek is.
Shriek showed up.
Is it another Spawn?
Shriek showed up around like...
And that was Spawn of Venom, by the way, not the other Todd McFarlane. Okay.
No. So Shriek is she's a mutant that can like... She can use sound to like block, like make sound, like she can block sound.
Oh,
but then
okay, now it makes sense.
But then she can also kind of do the Enchantress thing where she can weasel into your mind and make you think the scariest things imaginable, and you'd be so frightened.
Wow, is this based on anything?
Yeah, she showed up originally in like Maximum Carnage, I think, is where she showed up with.
The follow-up. Okay, yeah. So that I own those comics. I don't think I ever read them more than once. So at this point, I've completely forgotten about them.
Yeah, when Cletus gets broken out of Ravencroft, as he's leaving, he meets her or something, or they knew each other. They talked, and she like professes her love for him, and so he lets her out, and then she and him become mom and dad to like a couple of other crazy people, and I can't remember who any of the other ones are.
Okay. So this movie, like all of this information put into a movie like was the first Venom, this has the possibility of being even more tonally bizarre than that first film.
That trailer for this movie looks exactly like the way you felt at the end of Venom 1, which is, what?
Yeah.
Where did his hair go? Why is his hair different now? They didn't like it. People made too much fun of him because he looked too comic accurate with his crazy orange hair.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, great. I'm glad we invented this section. Maybe I'll watch that trailer.
Bye for the second time.